Could Jackson State be adding the greatest high school football tight end recruit of all time to the roster for the fall? We're going to be talking about it right after the bumper. Stay tuned. It's good people. My name is JeffLightsyJr with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. And I bring you right here on the JeffLightsYJr YouTube channel all things HBCU football, all things, particularly the SWAC, but I'm starting to expand a little bit as well. Well, there was shout out to one of my Twitter followers who brought this to my attention, and he knew I would catch something if I watched the first 5 minutes of the latest episode of 21st and Prime. Shout out to Samad Drake. Samad Drake let me know. He said, hey, you need to go check out 21st and Prime, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime's podcast. And he's like, the first 5 minutes, you're going to catch something. You're going to catch something in those first 5 minutes. I was like, all right, let me go. Because I never really watched 21st and Prime. And I don't watch it very often. But in the first 5 minutes, there were so many gems. And one of those gems is potentially the highest graded tight end recruit in the history of high school football, as far as recruiting rankings go, could potentially end up at Jackson State. His name is Arik Gilbert. Arik Gilbert, who came out of the state of, I want to say he played high school football in Marietta, Georgia. He played high school football in Marietta, Georgia. He enrolled in 2020 to LSU. He played in 8 games at LSU and dominated, had a really good freshman season, but decided to transfer. We know LSU was going through some changes. They had a rough season. They ended up letting Ed Orgeron go this year after the end of this year, and he transferred to Georgia, but never saw the field. And let me just play for you what Coach Prime said in regards to recruiting one, and then Arik Gilbert. I think specifically, this is not me knowing any inside sources or anything, but what I think was about Arik Gilbert right here. So let me make sure you guys can see it. Let me pull that up. This is Coach Prime's show, 21st and Prime, and let's take a listen. Make sure, let me know if you can hear. Let me know if you can hear what he's saying.
All right, fellas. I'll hit y'all back. That's how recruiting been going for us, man. We've been getting calls from everybody named man. Quavo called me last week with a tight end. I can't name the school because everybody would know. We put it out there. But the big time guys, man.
Whoa! So there it is. There it happened so fast that you might not even caught it. Coach Prime says, "Man, that's how recruiting goes." Because he was on the phone. He said, "All right, I'll talk to y'all later." He hangs up and says, that's how recruiting goes for us because we can't recruit everywhere. Our budget is small, and we'll play that clip. He said our budget is small. It's only about $15,000 is for traveling for recruiting. He said, but Quavo called me with the tight end. And I'm not going to say the school, but if I say Quavo, I say tight end, you guys can put 2 and 2 together. You guys can put 2 and 2 together about who that is. So this is how we put our investigator hats on. It doesn't take a lot, but, I like backing the stuff that I'm talking about up with facts, right? Why am I saying these things? I don't just like saying things and not having facts to back it up. So let me rewind that audio because it's only about 30 seconds. I'm going to rewind it and play for you, and then I'm going to get to the facts on why I think this guy that he's talking about is Arik Gilbert. Let's take a listen.
All right, fellas. I'll hit y'all back. All right. That's how recruiting been going for us, man. We've been getting calls from everybody named man. Quavo called me last week with a tight end. I can't name the school because everybody would know. We put it out there. But the big time guys, man. Everybody's trying to jump in. And we got one more big one I think we're going to announce on signing day.
So did you guys catch it? Please let me know in the chat. Please let me know in the comments that you caught it. Quavo hit him up with a big-time tight end, and they're going to get one more big one come National Signing Day. Now, who that is, I don't know. I have no idea who that is. But let's get to the Quavo part, and then we'll dive back into Coach Prime in the show, the 21st and Prime. So let's go over to Mr. Quavo, his Instagram. Now, there was a college football team that recently won the College Football Playoff National Championship, and that college football team happens to go by the Georgia Bulldogs. It says national champions UGA, and this is Quavo photoshopping his face onto a Georgia player holding up the national championship trophy. Why does this matter? It doesn't really matter at all. Georgia, congratulations to them. They won the college football playoff, but we're not here to talk about Georgia. We're not here to even talk about FBS football. We're here to talk about Jackson State. We're here to talk about HBCU football. I just want to give you some more context to make sure we're building up to something. I promise you we're going to get there. So this is Quavo in Indianapolis when Georgia wins the national championship. You see he's happy, he's cheesing, he's smiling, he's loving every bit of it. Look at the ice. Look at him. Make sure you guys see the diamond grills. Look at the ice in Quavo's mouth, man. He's having a good old time. The championship game was played. Look at the ice, man. The championship game was played in Indianapolis. Quavo probably took the private jet up to Indianapolis to watch the Georgia Bulldogs bring home their first championship in 41 years, something like that, since Herschel Walker. So I think it was 31 years, their first championship in over 30 years. Quavo's hanging out with the Georgia faithful. He was in the locker room. That pack hit, the Bama pack. They, you know what I'm saying? They doing all this stuff. So why am I telling you all of this? So this lets you know that the Quavo ties to the University of Georgia run deep. The Quavo ties to the University of Georgia run deep. The Quavo ties to the University of Georgia run deep. So why does any of this matter? Well, it really doesn't, but I just want to let you know that Quavo is ultimately very much plugged in to what takes place at the University of Georgia. You see he's on the field. You see he's in the locker room. You see he's hanging out with the players. You see all of this stuff. Like this is what he does. He is a Georgia guy. He's from Atlanta. He loves the University of Georgia. So he's connected to that Georgia program. Why does any of this matter? Well, there was a young man by the name of Arik Gilbert. I'm going to show you Arik Gilbert's high school 24/7 profile. This was Arik's high school 24/7 profile. He was the number 1 tight end in the country. He was the number 5 player in the country. And he was the highest ranked tight end recruit in the history of recruiting services. Let me repeat that. He was the highest ranked tight end recruit in the history of recruiting services. The highest ranked tight end recruit, composite ranked number 5. He was the Georgia Gatorade Player of the Year as a tight end. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. 6'5", 250 pounds. This is his name. His name is Arik Gilbert. He was every kind of All-American in the history of the world. He, like I said, the highest ranked tight end recruit. So I'm showing you all this, all that says enrolled. He enrolled at LSU in 2020. Right after LSU won the national championship, he decided to go to LSU. And let's read about Mr. Arik Gilbert. He eventually, after his freshman year, he transferred from LSU and went to Georgia, where he was from. And let's read about Mr. Arik Gilbert. It says Kirby Smart updates the status of Arik Gilbert. Kirby Smart provided an update on Georgia wide receiver. When he got to Georgia, they converted him to wide receiver because they had the Brock Bowers kid who was a true freshman and probably the best tight end in the country. They had him. They had the big number 0. I can't think of his name. He was a really good tight end. So they transitioned. They need help at receiver. Georgia didn't have the most dynamic receivers, and they needed some help at the receiver position. So they transitioned him to the receiver position. It says Georgia has averaged 38 points per game. This article was written in October, by the way. Georgia's averaged 38 points per game on offense this season, though, through 7 games under the helm of offense coordinator Todd Monken, blah, blah, blah. That's without George Pickens, without JT Daniels, and without their starting right guard. And, of course, it has been without the most talked about offseason additions in the sport of college football, Arik Gilbert. Gilbert has been away from the team since the start of fall camp back in August, dealing with personal issues. Kirby Smart provided an update on Georgia wide receiver Arik Gilbert on Tuesday. And this was back in October. He says, quote, he still's continuing his journey and we're still staying in communication with him. Everyone is pulling for Arik Gilbert. Smart says Gilbert back in August Smart said of Gilbert back in August that Gilbert was dealing with some personal issues. Quote, Arik is dealing with some personal issues. We love him. Our thoughts and prayers are with him, and we hope to get him back soon. So that was the last we had heard about Arik Gilbert. But let me tell you why this matters if you're a JSU fan. Let me tell you why this matters if you're an HBCU fan. And let me tell you why this matters if you pay attention to football in the SWAC. It says in 8 games, this is when this young man was a true freshman. In 8 games as a true freshman, Gilbert racked up 368 yards and 2 touchdowns on 35 catches. Gilbert's productions met the expectations of those who saw him coming out of high school. He was a very productive player in an LSU offense in the fall of 2020. This isn't the LSU offense that had Jamar Chase and that had Justin Jefferson and that had Joe Burrow. This was an LSU offense that was, subpar. And he picked up 35 catches, over 350 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. So he met expectations as a freshman. The talent is still there. I'm saying all that to say what? The talent is still there. Coming out of high school, he met those expectations. Obviously, LSU was lackluster. Obviously, so much lackluster that they fired their head coach in Ed Orgeron. And now they went out and got country bumpkin Brian Kelly, who's trying to be, a dude's from Boston, trying to act like he got a Louisiana accent. And so I'm saying all that to say what? The young man is still talented. And if you heard Coach Prime in the first 30 seconds of his latest podcast that came out January 20th, let's just check the date on today. That's today. He says Quavo, who is connected to the what program? The University of Georgia football program. Quavo has called me about a tight end. Quavo has called me about a tight end, trying to get him in here. Called me last week about a tight end. Now, what program would Quavo know about a pretty good tight end? I think it's the University of Georgia. So I'm not saying Arik Gilbert is going to be a member of Jackson State this fall. All I'm saying is that there's a potential that Arik Gilbert could be a part of Jackson State this fall. And hopefully I gave you adequate evidence to think possibly the same. So if we see Arik Gilbert on the sideline at 1400 Lynch Street down in Jackson, Mississippi, just know who told you first. That's all I ask, is just know who told you first. Let's listen one last time. And then we're going to listen a little more about Coach Prime and his recruiting strategy, because he talks about it here as well. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, guys. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you guys so much. But let's take a listen to Coach Prime once again, talking about Quavo hitting him up about a potential tight end recruit. Let's listen.
All right, fellas. I'll hit y'all back. That's how recruiting been going for us, man. We've been getting calls from everybody named Mammy. Quavo called me last week with a tight end. I can't name the school because everybody would know. We put it out there. But the big time guys, man. Everybody's trying to jump in. And we got one more big one I think we're going to announce on signing day.
Yo, nephew.
Let me go ahead and cut the audio off when it comes to this this music, because I don't want to get any copyright strikes. But Quavo called him last week about a potential tight end recruit. That should let you know a lot. like Coach Prime said a whole lot without saying a whole lot. Right there, he said a whole lot without saying a whole lot, and he is telling us that they have another big time recruit that is going to announce on National Signing Day, that they're going to announce on National Signing Day. Now, guys, we've been following who we think's committing, who could possibly commit. We've been right on some, we've been wrong on others. Hey, but it's really just a guessing game. I'm not Nostradamus, I'm not perfect, but the Arik Gilbert nugget, he just dangled that in front of us. That was easy for me to catch. As soon as I heard that, I was like, yo, Arik Gilbert, oh my God. Because I kind of knew the back history about Arik Gilbert not playing a snap for Georgia this year, having to step away from the team for personal reasons. I don't know what those personal reasons are, and I wish him the best. But as soon as he said a tight end recruit, Quavo, and called us, I was like, yo, that's Arik Gilbert. Yo, that could potentially, be the highest ranked tight end recruit in the history of the country, could potentially end up at 1400 Lynch Street. That was easy for me to spot. And you got to remember, they just brought in Brent Bartoloni, and Bartoloni runs a what? Air raid offense. Now, some people feel different, have different mixed feelings about Mr. Bartoloni, but bringing in that air raid offense, bringing in a guy like Arik Gilbert with the size and speed, we're talking about a 6'5", 250-pound tight end receiver, whatever, that runs a 4.6, and that is uber talented. The young man comes from the state of Georgia. Georgia is one of the best football states in the entire country. If he is able to end up on Jackson State, that is a weapon they just simply don't have. They have a ton of weapons. Travis Hunter, Malachi Wideman, Trevante Rucker, the 2 transfers from Indiana, Quay Davis, who I'm told is a beast. Y'all keep letting me know Quay Davis is that dude. Y'all keep telling me he's that dude, and I believe you. I have no reason not to. But they don't have a Arik Gilbert on the roster. Keith Mullins is good. Keith Mullins is really, really good. He ain't Arik Gilbert. Now, Arik Gilbert's got to get his mind right. Arik Gilbert's had to deal with those personal problems that are taking place, and hopefully all of that is fine and dandy. But Keith Mullins ain't Arik Gilbert. But let's continue. Let's listen some more, because the first 5 minutes of this podcast was really, really insightful. I don't know if we're going to listen to the entire 5 minutes, but it was very, very, very much insightful from 21st and Prime. And I don't even watch 21st and Prime that often. But, man, maybe I need to start, because they was dropping some nuggets, or at least Coach Prime was, and we're getting really, really close to signing day. And so that's probably why he had so much to say about recruiting. Let's take a listen.
Man, Jamie Duke's wrong. We jumping right into it. You caught a little something. We put that on. That's a little bit of how the game works. Gilly and Wallow probably are my 2 best recruiters in the country. We get calls from everywhere kids want to go, and they fill in the Jackson.
So it sounds like, I'm going to have to stop this periodically so we don't get a copyright strike, but it sounds like, that beginning nugget that we've listened to a couple of times already, that was potentially either Gilly and or Wallow. It was either Gillian or Wallow. It sounds like he'd taken that phone call from, and that's why he gave him a little shout out, saying Gillian and Wallow are 2 of our best recruiters in the country. And we've seen Gillian and Wallow on at a few games at Jackson State on the sideline. Hell, even Gilly got a penalty at the Orange Blossom Classic last season, so that was also pretty funny to watch. But let's continue to listen.
They feeling what we're doing. They want to continue to sit up, because that's we're trending up right now.
Absolutely.
And this is, I think, the last recruiting weekend is next weekend. So you got to bring those last guys in that you want to impress, that you want to influence, that you want to guide to the next level. So the next weekend is it.
And that's big, because he's right. Signing day is February 2nd. So you got this weekend for official visits. I know, shout out to Grambling. They've been really helpful with me. I know they had some official visits this weekend. It's the same at Jackson State. It's the same at FAMU. It's the same at Southern. It's the same at Mississippi Valley. It's the same at all of them. You got official visits this weekend. Last weekend, like he said, is the last official recruiting weekend. Some of the top players are at some of these last all-star games, like the Polynesian Bowl. We know Kevin Coleman, Harold Perkins, Travis Hunter, Shamar Stewart. I don't know if Shamar's actually at the Polynesian Bowl, but a few of those top recruits are down there at the Polynesian Bowl at their last big time all-star game. And then a lot of those guys will enroll in school on Monday. They'll be down in Jackson. The Jackson State guys will be down in Jackson on Monday, and so on and so forth. So that's what he's referring to when he says it's the last recruiting weekend next weekend before National Signing Day on February 2nd.
So we get told everybody right now.
I didn't know that's how it happened. Is that how it happens? They hand deliver them to you and they ask, or is this is this a Jackson State privilege?
Now, Coach Prime, we give Coach Prime a lot of props, but he damn sure knows what he's doing. He damn sure knows that he is that dude. Like, there's no mistakes that Coach Prime knows. Like, yo, I'm the guy. Like I'm the guy, and he's about to let us know right here.
This is a Jackson State privilege. This is a blessing when you've done what you need.
Stop.
No. I'm just saying it right. Like when
you built the brand.
Yeah, so Jamie cuts him off, which he should have, because Jamie understands this ain't just the Jackson State thing. And Coach Prime gonna let us know this ain't just the Jackson State thing. This ain't just, this wasn't happening at Jackson State before Prime. And so he understands this is a Prime thing.
You're going to give some answer You built the brand because they be running the Southern or someplace else. But how this got started?
No, they wouldn't be running to the HBCUs. Let's get that straight.
Well, that's the point, but that's what he's asking.
Talk that talk, coach. Talk that talk. Y'all know I'm about uplifting all the HBCUs. Y'all know I love talking about Southern. I just had Jatari Carter on our platform earlier today. Y'all know I love talking about everybody else besides Jackson State. Grambling, Valley, all these guys are welcome to come on. But Coach Prime know who Coach Prime is. Talk that talk, Coach. They wouldn't be running to no HBCUs. He said it, not me.
And how?
Yeah. What I'm saying, we've established something that kids now feel like they have an opportunity that they can make it to the pros through us. We a portal now, so to speak, a portal to the NFL, and there is.
Now, that's a good statement. I like that statement by Coach Prime, but that hasn't been proven yet. I will correct Coach Prime right here by saying that actually has not been proven yet. No one from NL, granted, he hasn't had a chance to get an NFL draft yet, right? Like, I get it. But it has not been proven quite yet that you will get drafted to the NFL after you attend Jackson State. Now, we all think that will happen for James Houston. Well, we don't know what round. He won't be a high draft pick. I can at least say that. He won't be a top, he won't be a first, and probably won't be a second rounder. James Houston probably looking at a third rounder later. And then the other guys who will be in the draft, I'm not sure if Antoine Owen gets drafted. I don't think CJ Holmes gets drafted. I don't think Al Young gets drafted. So that right there, I will stop Coach Prime and say that has not been proven yet. But let's continue on.
Means and Travis Hunter has opened up the floodgates for so many HBCUs by saying the number one kid in the country said HBCU is good enough for me. So why are these other kids? What are they waiting on? So now we get 3 stars, 4 stars calling.
Now, that is very true. He's right about that. Travis Hunter did do something special. He definitely opened up the floodgates, and he opened up a lot of kids' eyes. Hell, the kids have admitted that. Like, they've even admitted, guys like, Kevin Coleman and others have admitted, yeah, what Travis did opened my eyes and somewhat made it cool for us to pick HBCUs, or at least allow us to know that as a viable option.
Us, because we can't recruit everywhere. We don't have the resources to recruit everywhere. I think, the travel budget is like $15,000. We got that in the pocket for the travel budget for coaches to recruit, and our whole budget to facilitate, I think, is only like $3 million.
Now that's big. The travel budget for recruiting is only $15,000. That's pretty big because that ain't too much of that. That's a drop in the bucket. That ain't too much of nothing, especially when you're recruiting like Jackson State. See, a lot of HBCUs in the past recruited locally, right? Mississippi, might shoot over to Texas, might shoot down there to Florida. You know what I'm saying? But you really stayed right in that area. Jackson State, and especially Grambling. I mean, the G-men. I shout out to the G-men because I gotta bring them up on this part. These folks are recruiting nationally. Grambling's got a pipeline of Southern California like no other. To California. They're the West Coast G-men over there. Shout out to Hugh Jackson. And Jackson State pulling cats from everywhere. So to go out and get these guys from all across the country coming from Jackson, Mississippi, it's pretty impressive when you're only working with a $15,000 traveling budget.
Like for the whole entire
budget, Coach, that was my old budget back in the day.
So Ron.
So Jamie points out something very, very interesting. Jamie said that was my budget back in the day. For those of you who don't know, Jamie Duke played high-level football. So he's saying basically the bag man dropped off $15K for me. And Prime was the same way. It wasn't just Jamie. It was Prime like that too.
A Power 5 or PWI has probably 20 times the budget that we have at Jackson State.
And he ain't lying about that at all. We looked at some of those numbers. If you're looking on my channel, JeffLightsYJr, we with Dr. Boyce looked at the revenue, the money that comes to some of these big time Power 5 schools, some of these big time PWIs. We're talking about $2, to 220, 230, $240 million in revenue. $200+ million in revenue. Whew, college sports is big business. Big business. You hear me?
So you got to get it out the mud.
We got to. We got to
the only way.
We got to use you, Jamie, everybody else to recruit to call us with guys so we can find out about some of these guys that we would never be able to touch because we don't have the resources.
Now, what's beautiful about that is because when you build a program like what Coach Prime has done at Jackson State, something like what Coach Willie Simmons has done at FAMU, and some of these other established coaches, at least as far as established, whether it's from their notoriety or their product on the field, and a combination of both, Hugh Jackson at Grambling, people then come to you. You don't have to exert all of your energy trying to find the next diamond. Sometimes those diamonds come knocking on your door. We had Tyson Bordeaux, a signee for Grambling, and he told us he reached out to Hugh Jackson, and Hugh Jackson offered him that scholarship, and now he's going to be a G-man in the fall of 2022. So that's the beauty behind having some cachet. That's the beauty behind having some success. That's the beauty behind having a brand and a name as well.
Let's dig into what hopefully they show some of. Coach Prime had a different criteria that we heard. Something about you want to go through that motor and not at least a 5-star.
I don't care about no 5-star. I don't care about no 4.3201. I need a defensive lineman. Gotta want it. Like he has to have a motor. You know how I just got the Belgian Mountain. You know, new dog.
Yeah, so he kind of goes into like what he looks for as far in a dog and the dogs that he's bringing into Jackson. So, I mean, that, y'all, it is, I mean, the SWAC, this is top tier football, guys. And don't forget, Hugh Jackson and Grambling, they told me they're dropping an announcement this week. I mean, the week's almost over. Don't bite my head off if it doesn't come out, because this is just what I was told. I was passing along information that I was told. You got Coach Prime saying he's going to have another big time signing come signing day and potentially could bring in former 5-star Arik Gilbert. I mean, I'm just reading the tea leaves. This is no insider information, but this is going to be one heck of a signing day. I'm not even going to get into like the spring season yet, like spring football and then the fall. I'm just talking about leading up to signing day. I seen Grambling got a transfer from Arkansas. Like, it's so much going on every single day. FAMU's loading up the boats. Southern's got a guy playing in the Senior Bowl. Be sure to check out my interview with Jatire Carter as well. He's playing in the Senior Bowl. Like, we got the Legacy Bowl we'll talk about. We've got the HBCU Combine that we'll cover. There's so much going on. If you've never been a fan of HBCU football, now is the time to be a fan. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful thing to see. But Coach Prime is the person leading the way. I'm not even going to fake the funk. Deion Sanders, Coach Prime is the one leading the way. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is JeffLightsYJr with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. You can subscribe to the Black Boss Channel and my YouTube channel, JeffLightsYJr, for all things HBCU sports. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, where I catch a lot of these different things on my Instagram at JLightsy7, on my Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on your way out, because we have a lot that is going to come between now and February 2nd. Leave your thoughts also in the comments. Who do you believe that last big fish that Coach Prime is going to get on National Signing Day? Leave your thoughts in the comments, please. Let me know who you think in the comments. I'll respond to all the comments. You guys know. Thank you guys once again. My name is JeffLightsYJr. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and peace.